Hello, how's everybody doing today? If you could do me a favor, please, and in the chat box, if you're watching me on Zoom or YouTube, just let me know that you can hear me and where you're listening from. That would be great. I would certainly appreciate it. Thank you so much for doing that. That would be fantastic. So if we could do that, that would be great. Just trying to get things started here. And we're going to go do Q&A. So if you have questions for me, fantastic. Okay, people can hear me, which is great. Got people, looks like all over the United States listening, Europe as well, and I'm sure other places around the world. So fantastic. So if you have questions for me, you can put them in the chat box on Zoom or YouTube. And if you're watching me on Zoom, you can also put them on the Q&A box. By the way, for my YouTube audience, I'll say this multiple times during our time together today, which will be about an hour or so. Uh, if you want priority for your questions to be answered, I give the Zoom audience priority because they are members of our free group for startup CEOs, Zero to Pitch. If you want to become a member, it's super easy. There are links all over YouTube on almost any one of my videos for Zero to Pitch. If you want to become a member, all you have to do is just hang on one second. I want to do something right there. There we go. Beautiful. Okay. Anyways, if you want to become a member, super easy. All you have to do is just go to one of those links, click, and follow the instructions. There'll be a few questions you have to answer, and then you will be admitted into the group. So ask your questions on Zoom. Zoom audience goes first, and I have a few questions already, which we're going to start with. So here we go. First question from our Zoom audience, and that is this. Brett, what can it mean when a VC asks me to send him a one-pager after I contacted him on LinkedIn and describe my business idea and he doesn't give me any feedback? 6 weeks, question mark. Not even after I sent him 3 more pieces of information in the meantime, further key points, figures, and fine tuning. Okay, well, here's the deal. We have to look at it from the investor's perspective, right or wrong. Investors are super busy, unbelievably busy people. And I know how frustrating it is when we send things, we think we're being helpful, but we have to think about it again from their perspective. So their time is their most precious resource, and they guard it intensely because they can't get that time back. So if I'm getting bombarded with LinkedIn messages, YouTube, not YouTube, excuse me, emails and whatever, uh, and I'm looking at these, I will maybe spend up to 1 minute, 1 minute, that's it, on a well-written email, on a concise text message or message on LinkedIn or whatever. So when we think we're providing more detail or whatever, it's just too much. People aren't going to, in fact, it may work against us. So people aren't going to spend the time to look at it. You need to be concise and to the point. There's a video I recently released, I think in the last month, on how to do a really good email. It's on my YouTube channel. Watch it. This will help you understand how to get an investor's attention quickly because you've got maybe 5 seconds when you send something, to be able to get their attention. If I can read that email super quick, then I'm going to read it. If not, I'm going to move on. So we have to be cognizant of our audience. That's the first thing. So why is the person asking for what's called a one pager? This is a document which gives all the information about your company, because maybe there was enough in what you told them that it was interesting to them, but they want it in a format where they can quickly, this is the key, quickly get at the answers. So if you send something and more information, thinking, oh, this is great, look at all this information, but it takes 15, 20 minutes for an investor to look at it, it's working against you. So I hope that little subtlety there helps. Okay, so our next question. How do you find excellent startup co-founders? I think I get this question just about every time I do an AMA, which is fine. And I'm happy to answer it multiple times. So how do we get great co-founders? Well, it's hard. So let's talk about first, what is a great co-founder? Let me give you a little bit of my criterion. You can develop your own, but this is my criterion. And this is in no particular order. Number one, I want somebody that's fanatical about what we're doing. If they're not all in, a total true believer in the concept, then in all likelihood, they will flame out and not work out as a co-founder. So first thing is fanaticism. They don't care what the odds are of success. They don't care about titles. They just want to win. And they totally believe in the cause. The second thing I'm looking for, again, and this is in no particular order, I am looking for people that are smart in their specific discipline. So for example, let's say I'm looking for a CTO or a vice president of engineering. I want somebody who's really, really good at that job, period. Best of the best. That's what I'm looking for in a co-founder. Because if you hire a B-level person for a co-founder, that sets a ceiling on the type of employees you're going to bring into the company. Because the old saying, A players recruit other A players, B players recruit C players, is really true. You're not going to get great people to join a company when they're working for mediocre managers. They have plenty of options in their life. They're not going to choose yours. That's thing number two. Thing number three I want a cultural fit. I want somebody that fits the company culture of the company, whatever I define that to be. It doesn't mean that we have to agree on every single thing. It does mean that we have to believe in most of the common goals and things that we're trying to achieve. Also remember this, team sets the culture. We can define our culture any way we want, but if we hire people that don't fit the culture, they're going to change the culture in a different way than you want. So culture is super critical. In fact, it's the number one indicator of a successful startup is a great company culture. Remember that. Finally, I want people that are going to work hard. So I want all of those things. That's what I'm looking for. So how do I find these people? Ideally, I find them in my own network. That's ideal because I know these people or I know somebody who knows somebody. That's the best way. So I would get in the habit of talking to every single person I know and saying, I'm looking for people. Do you know anybody that can help me? I'm looking for a VP of engineering. I'm looking for a marketing person, whatever it is you're looking for. Get in the habit of having that communication. Second thing you can do, which is really smart, is build an avatar of here are the things that I want for each of the roles that I need right now to start the company. And then target the people that you think would be great in those roles. Do what Sam Altman did when he built OpenAI, right? He went out and said, I want these people. These are the people I want. And he found those people. And then he recruited those people in. You can do something similar to this. You can say, these are the ideal things I'm looking for. Maybe they're in your network, maybe they're not. And then you can, for the people that are in your network, great, go recruit them. The people that aren't in your network, you can find these people on LinkedIn. You can find exactly what you want. And then you go recruit them. I know it sounds, oh boy, it's so easy, right? No, it's not. It's super hard. You're going to hear a lot of people tell you no, but this is life, right? We got to go find the people that we want. So ideally, that's what I would do. If I'm trying to do meetups and things like that, it's funny, I was talking to a founder that I've worked with. This is we're on to startup number 2 that we've worked on together. And he was joking with me that maybe, it's like yoga class in terms of trying to find. He was making this analogy that if you're trying to meet women, for example, maybe you go to a yoga class in the hopes of meeting a woman, and he was making the analogy that maybe he needs to find something like that to find his co-founders. Where do these people live? I don't, we were kind of joking about that, and I don't really think that's going to work, quite frankly. But you can try it, whatever works. But you need to find these people that are really, really good, and you need to do whatever you can do. To me, the things that have been successful for me have been networking and LinkedIn. Though the combination of those things have been really, really helpful to me. So I hope that helps. All right. We're continuing to go down our list of questions. Again, if you have a question for me, you can put it in the chat box on Zoom or YouTube. If you'd like, the Zoom audience gets priority because they are already members of our group Zero to Pitch. If you want to become a member and you're watching me on YouTube, excuse me, I think that's right. Yeah, on YouTube, sorry. So if you're watching me on YouTube and you want to become a member of Zero to Pitch, it's quite easy. All you have to do is just follow some of the links to Zero to Pitch. They're all over the place, and just about every video I have a link to it. And it's in my profile as well on YouTube. And follow the links, answer a couple questions, and you'll likely be in pretty quick. So that's all you need to do. So let's see, next question. Okay, this is a good question, it looks like. Brett, is it correct that a company should retain a deal lawyer? Okay. For negotiating and closing investments and acquisitions, who is registered in their state. Okay, and then there's all right, and then it goes on to say, how can you provide some tips on how to select a competent deal attorney for each of these functions? Okay. No, you don't need a quote unquote deal attorney. You need a general counsel. Would be the little adjustment that I would make to what you're suggesting. You need a general counsel who, what I would call a good startup attorney. And typically good startup attorneys have done, this goes to your question really, have done tons of deals. They've been involved in tons of fundraisings. That's what you're looking for. For various things that you're going to be doing as the company goes on, you will need other attorneys. For example, if we're talking about contracts, you'll need a good contract attorney. If we're talking about patents, you'll need a good patent attorney. Many times, larger firms have under their umbrella various specializations. You also need an employment attorney is another thing you'll need. You may need somebody who specializes in immigration. You'll need an immigration attorney. I had all of these attorneys, when we were building our company, because you need all these various functions. And many times they're all under one umbrella, or sometimes, for example, patents are really specialized, and you'll find that person to be a solo practitioner in a very specific area. But for the general thing that you need at the beginning, you need a general counsel. And typically, what am I looking for? I'm looking for somebody who has previous experience working in startups, who has helped negotiate term sheets, who knows how to keep me out of trouble so I don't get screwed. That's what I'm looking for. That's what will be helpful to you. Hope that helps. Next question on our list. To your awareness, will investment banks negotiate their upfront fees? For example, reduce or eliminate it for a large reward on the back end. Okay. If we are in the United States, which I believe you are because you said you're from San Diego. Okay, so you're in the US. I would be very, 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 a lot of varies, there's infinite number of varies, hesitant to work with an investment banker to help you. I'm assuming this is for fundraising, very hesitant to do it. And the reason why I would be very hesitant to work with an investment banker, especially at the start, is that they are not going to be well received by either angel investors or venture capitalists. This is very much US VCs. I would say do not like working with these people. They resent the fee structure, which is typically 3% or more, plus some equity in the company. And, if you're raising a reasonable amount of money, that dollar number adds up. And nobody likes, giving you a bunch of money and then you're handing over a large percentage of that money to somebody else. Now, your argument, well, gosh, without them, how am I going to meet all these investors? What I would tell you from my experience of having done this myself and having worked with a lot of different people is that in almost every single case, you will be able to find money if your company is investable. That's the big if. But if you work hard at it, if you network, just like I was describing previously, you will be able to find money. You can do cold emails and get in. That works. I've done it. I have a video on cold emailing, as I said earlier. But investment banking, paying somebody a fee for this type of a service will blow up in your face in all likelihood, and you'll lose a lot of money in all likelihood. So no, I would not do it. Full stop. Okay. I understand. Also, let me add one other thing. I totally understand the desperation in wanting to do it. It seems like a panacea, quick fix, all those types of things, but no, I would not do it. If you have questions for me, you can put them in the chat box on Zoom or YouTube. And for my YouTube audience, if you want to become a member of Zero to Pitch and jump the line because my Zoom audience gets priority, this is the way to do it. Become a member. All you have to do is just click the links. They're all over the place on my YouTube channel, on any video that I have, and you will get priority. Just answer a few questions and you're in, and you'll get priority the next time we have an AMA. All right, let's go to our next question. Brett, for a startup business with low revenue and an MVP of their product, what is the best fundraising vehicle to manage equity and achieve needed capital? All right, well, this is a little vague. I don't know what low revenue is and an MVP. Okay, so you have a product in the marketplace and you have some revenue. That's what I'm going to assume. So let's just say it's a fairly small amount. Typically, it's all related to market potential are the typical things that people are looking for, and your revenue. But let's say that you have a really big idea, whatever big is, and let's say it's investable by angel investors. You're going to, that typically would be low revenue. If we're talking low revenue, let's say, $50,000 a month or something like that, some small amount, or maybe less than that, $5,000 to $50,000 a month. Typically, that's going to be angel investor territory. 50, and this is, by the way, typically, there are always exceptions to this. There are people I've worked with, and I did this actually, where I had no revenue, no MVP, no nothing. And I was able to raise, $12 million in funding. That's an exception to the rule. Most people don't do that, would be what I would tell you, is most people, you have to kind of graduate. So we start with friends and family, to start off or our own money. Then we graduate to angel investors, and then we graduate from there to venture capitals. That would be the typical way it would go. So as ground rules, $5,000 to $50,000 a month in revenue, probably angel funding. $50,000 to $500,000 a month is probably going to be venture funding. That's what I would tell you. I hope that helps. Let us go to, and it's also related to how much money we're raising. I have a video coming out tomorrow, I believe. Is that right? Or maybe it was my video last week on why you shouldn't raise money. I can't remember. But anyways, I've done some videos on this subject, so you can find them on my channel. Okay, let's see what we've got. Okay, what all goes into a good one-pager is too much to describe here. would be my short answer, but it's going to be a primer on everything about your company. What it would typically be, and this is off the top of my head, would be it's going to be, what does your company do? Your management team, financials. There's going to be a financial model of the company, very high level income statement thing that's going to be on there. What's unique about the company, and how much money we're raising. That's going to be typically what's going to be in a one page or like that, all literally on one page. You can find examples of this. Go Google it. You'll find some examples of what a typical one pager will look like. I hated these, by the way, because it's hard to get the excitement of your business into that type of a format, but you have to work at it. But yeah, there are some investors like it, and that's what you have to do to fit that model. Next question is also from our Zoom audience. Again, for the YouTube audience, if you want priority, the way you get priority is you want to jump the line like the Zoom audience is, become a member of the free community that we have, Zero to Pitch. There are links all over my YouTube channel for this. Okay, next question. Do you recommend angel investors over crowdfunding platforms? If so, why? Well, I have no experience doing crowdfunding, so I can't really answer for crowdfunding. So it's hard for me to give a perfect answer to your question here. They're for different things, I think, and it's not an either or. The thing about when we start getting into, and I want to really emphasize this, not everybody who tries to raise angel funding or funding from venture capitalists is successful. Just because we want to raise money doesn't mean we can raise money. It's not like there's a money tree and we're just shaking it and out comes the money. It doesn't work that way. It's really hard. To give you an idea of how hard it is, for every 100 face-to-face meetings a venture capitalist or an angel investor will take, this is on average, they will invest in one company. That's it, 100 to 1. That's the way to look at this. So it's not easy. And you may be able to raise crowdfunding for something that isn't investable from angel investors or VCs. It's very dependent on what you're doing and why you're doing it. So crowdfunding, may be great for something that's very consumer oriented and maybe doesn't have the potential that gets an angel investor or venture capitalist excited. It's not an either or. Okay, let's go to our next question on our list. Why do people generally want a co-founder? Why not be the only founder? Are multiple founders more attractive to investors? Okay, so actually a really good question. So just for everybody's knowledge, I think it's around 40 to 50% of all startups are started by one founder, solo founders. In fact, the most profitable company, or most valuable, I should say, most valuable company I'm working with right now, which is worth well over $1.6 billion, solo founder. But is that the right way to go? My answer would be no. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't be a solo founder. But when you find great people that meet the criterion that I was talking about, because in all likelihood, depending upon what you're doing, you're going to need other people to be successful. Well, I know there are one-person companies out there, but those are in a totally different stratosphere. But if we're trying to build something that's big, then we're going to need other people on our team. Trying not to bring those people in earlier rather than later, I think, is a mistake. When you find great people, you want them as part of your team. And if they join you before you have funding, they're a co-founder. If that means you give up more equity, who cares? And the reason why I say this is because your mission in life is to be successful. So if I start off with 100% of the equity and I can give a co-founder 40% of the equity, so now I'm down to 60, but it increases my chances of success by 10x by bringing on this person. I'm going to do that every single day of the week. The idea here is to bring great people on whenever you find them. So in the case of the solo founder, I'm going to call him Ray because he still wants to be in stealth mode, even though even though he's really not. But anyways, I'm going to call him Ray. In his case, where he was a solo founder, the reason why he was able to raise money, and he was able to, by the way, like me, raise a significant amount of money with no product, just a great idea, no MVP, no nothing. So why was he able to do it? Well, part of the reason was that he had a team ready to go. And some of these people didn't want to join until after he raised funding. He actually wanted to have a co-founder. And one of the people who became one of his vice presidents, his wife didn't want him to join the company until after funding was raised. Cool. Okay. Have them lined up for afterwards. And having these people ready to go, having a great team ready to go, helped him reduce the risk for investors. I hope this helps. All right, let's go to our next question. If you have questions for me, you can put them in the chat box on Zoom or YouTube if you have questions for me. So here we go. Next question. Okay, hi, Brett. I'm from India. All right, cool. So it's what is it, 3 in the morning there or something? 3:30 or 2:30 in the morning, something, or 2 o'clock, excuse me. It's right. You're 12 and a half hours or 13 and a half hours ahead. So I think it's 3 in the morning. Wow. Good for you for staying up. I appreciate it. So let's see. Hi, Brett. I'm from India, raising seed round for drone delivery. Problem VCs have regulations we believe will accelerate regulations with our innovations. They believe but are hesitant to invest now. Okay. I'm trying to understand what the question is in there. If they're hesitant, you have to understand why they're hesitant. And there can be a bazillion reasons why they're hesitant. It may not have nothing to do with regulations. But whatever it is, it's like any sales thing. And you have to think of yourself in sales because you are doing big time sales when you're raising money. High-end sales. We're giving away equity in our company for millions of dollars. We're asking somebody to write us a check, let's say for VCs. So to me, the descriptor of that is you're probably asking, somebody to give you millions of dollars. It's a big time sales deal. What are big time sales all about? High-end sales. What are they all about? They're all about reducing risk, overcoming objections, understanding the concerns of our audience. So what you have to do as you're talking to people is really listen really hard to what they're saying and why. And the more what I'm looking for and the criticism that I'm going to respond to if I'm in your shoes is the more detailed the criticism, the more detailed the objections, the more likely I'm going to look at those as being relevant to me. And I'm going to look at that. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. I'm going to look at that more than somebody who just gives me some generalization. So look for the detail and let that help guide you in terms of what you can do. But there can be a million reasons why people are saying no. So for example, like the person asked earlier about revenue. You could have no revenue at this point, and that can be a reason why you're getting told no. So there's too much risk. You could have no team at this point, and that's why you're being told no. Or the team just isn't good enough, and that's why you're being told no. It could be that your idea isn't big enough. The market potential of the idea isn't big enough. Where for me as an investor, what am I all about? I'm all about making money. So if I don't see the return is going to be big enough, I'm not going to invest. You could have a great idea. It just may not be investable. It could be all these things and many, many more. You need to understand why they're telling you no. All right, let's go back to our Zoom audience, which again gets priority. For the YouTube audience, if you want priority going forward after today, Join my free group of startup CEOs called Zero to Pitch. There are links on my YouTube page for this, links below just about every video I do, that all you have to do is just click the link, answer a few questions, and you're in. And if you want even more, and you want to go even faster, and you want real help raising money, and you want to talk to me, not just do like we're doing today in a webinar format, you actually want to talk to me, get my advice, join the paid community, Zero to Pitch Gold, which, by the way, at the end of the month, we are raising our prices. So this is a great time to join Zero to Pitch Gold. It is just $99 a month. There is a 14-day money-back guarantee that you get. If it's not your cup of tea, so to speak, you can join. You don't like it after 14 days or before 14 days, just send me a note. You're out. Don't even know nothing. So don't worry about anything. So great deal. Great way to get incredible feedback. Work with me and other really motivated CEOs on how to build your business, raise money, whatever it is you need to do. That's Zero to Pitch Gold. And you can find that. Just go to the Zero to Pitch links and you can find that as well. All right, so let's go to our next question. Let me see. All right. Okay, this is in our Zoom audience. If I'm the founder and I initiate a term sheet from my lawyer to my investor, is that a back and forth process for the investor to counteroffer on price and terms before we agree and close? It's a little backwards. Typically, there are cases where you will do this, where you will issue a term sheet, but usually you don't. Investors typically give you a term sheet and then you negotiate from there, and you'll need your lawyer to help you with this. Typically, it's very rare where you'll do it. You might do it in what's called an inside round, where let's say you're already up and functioning and you want your existing investors to move forward, and they're not moving. So you have your attorney generate a term sheet as a way to get everybody moving along. That's why you would do it. But typically, if we're raising money, and we are trying to find new investors, no, the investor would issue the term sheet, and then there would be a negotiation with the investor on the terms of that term sheet, where your attorney would help with that. I hope that answers your question. Okay, next question. For an angel investor meeting, how many documents, these are, by the way, all from our Zoom audience, how many documents are required, i.e. pitch deck, one page, or business plan, et cetera? Am I missing any? You've got too many is the problem. All you need, if we are meeting with an investor, an angel investor, or VC, or family office, or friends and family, all we need is a pitch deck. We do not need one pagers. We do not need a business plan. Nobody reads them, especially business plans. Those are outdated ways to do it. All we need is a pitch deck. That's all that's going to happen. So if I have like a 30-minute meeting with an angel investor, I'm going to bring a pitch deck, which I'm going to get through in about 15 minutes or so, which means 7 to 8 slides, probably at 2 minutes a slide, 15 minutes for Q&A, delays, whatever. That's what I'm going to bring. You don't need business plans. You don't need that. All you need is your pitch deck. That's it. Hope that helps. Okay, next question. Also from our Zoom audience. If I'm buying into a franchise and I have a soft commitment, verbal, from an investor with deep pockets, okay, is it realistic for me to draw a reasonable salary for the first 6 months? Yeah, absolutely. You should pay yourself. Not just for the first 6 months. You should be paying yourself, period. Now, you may not be making market rate, and this is part of what you need to figure out. And this is actually a more detailed question in some senses if we're thinking about it. But on the high level, superficial level, yes, you should be paying yourself a salary once the money goes in the bank, without question. once the money's in the bank, you want the money ideally to last you, let's say 18 to 24 months. So you have to think about financially when you're building out your financial plan, how much salary you can afford to pay yourself so that money lasts that long. And in hierarchical order, who gets paid first to last? Employees get paid market salary, hopefully first, then your co-founders, then you, in that order. That's the way to look at it. So we want to make sure our employees are paid. They're taking the most risk, and therefore they should get paid first, not you. Okay, let's go to our next question. This is all from our Zoom audience. YouTube audience, if you want to ask questions, you can ask questions as well. And if you want to get priority going forward, YouTube audience, it's really simple. Join our free group, Zero to Pitch. It is free. There are links all over for it. And if you want to go even faster and you want help and you want to actually talk to me, not just hear me on a webinar, but you want to go back and forth with me, I have daily office hours in my Zero to Pitch Gold community as a paid community. Pricing is going up at the end of the month. So this is a perfect time to join. All right, let's go to our next question. If a company that is a potential strategic partner / investor views your outreach as a make or buy decision. Oh, okay, I've heard that before. How do you decide how much proprietary info to reveal about your product and the timing conditions of such release, NDAs, etc.? Yeah, this is perfect, actually. My concern is they may learn too much and then try to copy my content and or technology. Absolutely 100% with you on that. And yes, you should have them sign NDAs without question as you're talking to them. And if they're making a make or buy decision, this is exactly right, because this is the concern. And you have to look at the other side of the table, and you have to, the problem, let me take a step back. The problem with NDAs, yes, you should absolutely sign them. The problem with them is they're really hard to enforce. They sound great. Yeah, have everybody sign an NDA. Super. But they are super hard to enforce. And for you as a small company, they're even harder to enforce because you don't have the money to enforce them. So yes, have them sign them. And yes, you should be careful what you're going to reveal. You know, and your concern is 100% correct. I've been in situations like this, and I understand the challenge of this. You have to look at who you're dealing with. You have to look at their reputation. You have to develop a feel for the ethics of the other side. And then still, you may want to hold back at some level. And you have to understand there's a balancing act here because you're trying to do a deal. So when we're doing deals, the mission is to get the deal done. And if we're the balancing act here is if we're too conservative on what we tell them, we may not get the deal done. However, if we tell them too much and their ethics aren't in place, then guess what? You know, they may steal your information and go from there. So it's all a balancing act in terms of what we do and who we communicate with and how we communicate. And, you know, I'm using the word feel, and I know that may not make you comfortable, but you have to kind of develop a feel for these things, and that's you can use that to guide yourself. All right, let's see what our next question is. Okay, more from our Zoom audience. I love it that we're getting all these questions from the Zoom audience today. Okay, when making equity decisions, is it common for founder level investors to have equity in perpetuity? I'm not exactly sure what that means. Or how common is it for there to be a cap on their ROI, so to speak? This doesn't sound right to me, is what I would tell you. Equity forever. Okay, if they're founder level investors, okay, I think this is maybe what's throwing me. And I think this is kind of like a common mistake, at least the way I view the world, it's a common mistake. If we have founders that want to invest their money in the company, Number one, I think that's great, but we have to separate the two. That means if you think about it this way, I think this will help. They are founders and they are investors. That means as founders, they get a certain percentage of the company in their founder role. As investors, if they invest money, they're treated just like any other investor. So let me give you an example of this. So let's say you have a co-founder that wants to invest $100,000 in the company. Let's just deal with that portion of it. And you want to invest $100,000 in the company. What should be the split between you and your co-founder? And let's say that's $200,000. And let's say we're going to give investors for their $200,000 that they invest, 10% of the company means 10%, right? So for the $200,000, should you get more than your co-founder? Or should your co-founder get more than you, or should it be split evenly? I would argue it should be split absolutely evenly, because there's no difference between the money you're giving and the money your co-founder is giving. It's just the same as if there was an investor in there. If there were three of you and each of you gave $100,000 and one just is a pure investor. So you want to treat that piece differently. It's treated differently. It is preferred stock. It is totally different than what's going to happen as my founder role. So now we've divided it up. You own 50% of the company. You own 5%. Your co-founder owns 5% as your role as investors. Now, as founders, maybe it's a 60-40 split between the two of you as founders. And then you're going to each get diluted by 10% by your role as investors. And you'd add that back in to your totals. But the point is that there's a difference between your role as founders and your difference in investors, and you want to treat them differently. When we start mixing the two up, that's when we cause problems for ourselves. They're totally different. The stock is different. The vesting period, one gets vested immediately as investors, get 100% of that. So if I put $100,000 in and I get 5% for it, that's mine forever as an investor. Maybe that's the perpetuity thing that you were thinking of. As founders, I get my whatever percentage is, and that's going to vest over time as a founder. And typically, I would want that to vest over a 4-year period of time with a 1-year cliff that protects everybody, because it's a large chunk, right? If your co-founder is getting 40% of the company before he gets diluted by the investment, which would drop him down, what is that, to 36%, if my math is good, but still 36% of the company. It's a lot of investment. If he flames out as a founder in that first year, that's why you have the 1-year cliff, then he's back as just an investor with 5%, but he doesn't get that other 36%. I hope that makes sense. That's the right way to do it. All right. Do we have other questions? Do we have other questions for me? If we have questions, you can put them in the chat box or the Q&A box on Zoom or YouTube. All right. Well, I don't have a question, but I have a comment here, which is really nice. Thank you, Gabriel. I appreciate this. I joined the free group on School. It's a wonderful platform. The zero to pitch community is totally worth it. Thank you for that promo. I appreciate it. If we have other questions, we've got a little bit more time left. We can put them in the chat box or the Q&A box on Zoom or YouTube. I will again remind everybody, especially my YouTube audience, that you can join my free group for startup CEOs and get even more than just these AMA sessions that I do. You can join that group for free. All you have to do is just click the link in my YouTube profile. Also below just about every one of my videos, there's a link for Zero to Pitch. Answer a few questions and you're in. And if you want to go even faster, spend a little bit of money, $99 a month is a great deal. By the way, that price is going up at the end of this month, so it will no longer be $99 a month. Great deal. 14-day money back guarantee. You can quit anytime you want if you don't enjoy it, but you get a great set of startup CEOs to work with. You get access to me every day, rather than a webinar format like this. It's a meeting format. Every day you can come in. I have office hours every day. It varies on time. So no matter where you are in the world, you can participate. There are classes in there as well. And then a community that you can ask any questions to of really serious startup CEOs that are there to help you and want help as well and want community to work with. So you have all those things. All right, next question. All right. In my question about attorneys, there was a question at the beginning of today's session regarding what kind of attorney do you need when you're starting your company. And what I said is you want an attorney who has experience. I think I called it tons of experience. Well, what's tons of experience is what this person is asking. Okay, so you need somebody who is what I'm calling a general counsel, somebody who has experience in startups. What would be tons of experience? I want somebody who has worked in, has maybe done, I don't know, let's say worked in has been an attorney for maybe at least 5 or 10 startups at least, and has been involved in term sheets, which are a form of acquisition, by the way. That's the typical lawyer that's going to take the lead on negotiating these types of things. All your M&A stuff is going to be from your general counsel for the most part. Having said that, you may also have, depending upon the deals you do and who you do them with, and I'm just thinking about things that I've done, you may also have somebody who's a really good contract attorney help you with that as well, depending upon what it is. Like sometimes, for example, in my company for our Series B funding, we had what's called a strategic investor, which means a public company in an adjacent space to ours invest. And as part of that investment, there was what's called a side deal, where they were getting something specific from us, which wasn't covered by the investment. And that was a whole contract thing that we had to work out with them. And we had our contract attorney, who was part of the law firm that we were working with, do that negotiation or lead that negotiation for this. We had the general counsel lead the negotiation for the term sheet, and we had the contract attorney do the side deal. So I hope that helps. If we have more questions, you can put them in the chat box on Zoom or the Q&A box on Zoom, or you can put that in the chat box on YouTube in these few minutes that we have left today. Happy to answer anything that anybody has. I'll give you just a little bit more time. If not, we'll end a few minutes early, which is fine with me. Hope everybody is doing well as we end fiscal year, calendar year 2024, and looking forward to 2025. Also, next week, for my Zoom audience and for all of you in YouTube, we will not have an AMA next week because we're going to have a pitch deck review, and that is only for the Zoom audience. So if you want to learn how to really make your pitch deck fly and how to really get better in terms of preparing a pitch deck, yet another incentive to join Zero to Pitch is that's just for my Zoom audience, for my Zero to Pitch audience only. We will do a pitch deck review. So if you're interested in participating in that and you want your pitch deck reviewed by me, I'll review probably a minimum of 3 pitch decks in 1 hour, maybe up to 5 or 6. You can send those in to me. If you get in line, your pitch deck will be reviewed in all likelihood. So go ahead and send that. And that's a way for you to get some free advice from me in a pretty detailed manner about what you're doing. And I'll tell you what's good, what's not good. I will not mince words. Okay, it looks like we got one final question. How do you send your pitch deck? Easy. You can just email it to me, or you can message it to me. Since you're part of the Zero to Pitch community, you can just message it to me, and that'll work. All right, let's see. I've heard from others that business plans become necessary the further you go into a VC round. For example, in seed round and beyond, you need them, question mark? No, not from what I've seen. No, you don't. You don't need them. You just need a really good pitch deck. Yeah, so that's all you need. You do not need them from investors. There'll be other things that you'll need from diligence as you get deeper and deeper and it gets more complex, and maybe that's what you're referring to. But no, not for the initial meetings. You'll need a good pitch deck for that. But for diligence, you'll need a lot more. I just did a video on this in terms of all the things that you need. So you can watch that video, and that's a pretty good checklist of what's required. So you can take it from there. Okay, do we have any more questions? If we have questions, we can put them in the chat box on Zoom or YouTube. I'll give you guys another minute or so to do that. As a reminder for our YouTube audience, if you want priority, the way to get priority going forward, if you want to participate in my free community for startup CEOs, Zero to Pitch, all you have to do is just click the links, become part of the community, answer a few questions, and you'll be in, which is fantastic. And if you want to go even faster and you want more access to me and a community of really motivated, really smart, sharp CEOs working together, to help raise money for their businesses and grow their businesses, join my paid group, Zero to Pitch Gold. The price is going up. Right now it's $99 per month, but at the beginning of the year, it's going up. All right. Okay. Can we submit a pitch deck for review? Yes, I just answered that. You can. I'm gonna send something out for that. If you want to send your pitch deck to me, you can send it to me. You can message it to me, and I'll be happy to review it during that review session next week. It's the best way to do it. Can you review the follow-up process for target investors who do not respond? Yeah, I'm trying to think if I've done a video on this or not. I think I have actually. I think I did a video on this, a pretty detailed video on how to do this, which you can find on the YouTube site. But the general thing that we want to do is, first of all, we want to be what are called polite pests. So yes, you should follow up. But if we've met with an investor, and let's say today's Wednesday, and we start following up on Thursday in terms of why haven't they responded, that's just too quick. You got to give them about a week or so, typically, I would say, at the beginning. So if typically investors, depending upon the size of what they're doing, will typically meet on Monday and make their investment decisions on whether they want to go forward with something or not on Monday. So many times we hear Monday or Tuesday back from investors on what they want to do next or not do next. But if we don't hear back, then on Wednesday, I might write them. And this is getting into too much detail for today, but I might do what I call a non-follow-up follow-up, where rather than the classic, hey, I haven't heard from you in a week, would you mind letting me know where we stand? Instead, I might sprinkle in a positive piece of news about my company, something new. For example, maybe you just brought on a great engineer. Maybe you just signed a big customer, a big contract, whatever it is. Hey, did you know that we just brought on this new engineer? Did you know that we just signed this contract? Whatever it is, you sprinkle these things, and it's a way to create fear, the fear of missing out in investors. And many times that works, and it gets them moving, or at least tells them, hey, I need to respond out of courtesy. Investors are busy. They're not trying to be jerks most of the time, but many times they don't respond, and investors aren't the most responsive people in the world, in my experience. It's just kind of the way the deal works. Okay, I'll answer one more question if there's one more question for us. If not, we'll call it a day. So I'll give you guys another minute or so for that. You can put your question in the chat box. Great, here we go. We got our last question of the day. All right, hopefully it's a good one. How to come up with best quality, best equity split between co-founders? Is there a formula for it? Is it about who dedicates the most time, or is it about who brings the most value to the table? Okay, this is a really good question. I have a video on this, about how to divide equity up. I'm going to give you the simplistic answer here. There is no formula for this, which makes this go. This is all about what I'm going to call fairness. If you and I are working together, and this, by the way, is part of understanding whether they're a good fit for you or not. And I propose you get 40%, I get 60%, for example, which would be a fair fit between a CEO being me and you being a co-founder, whatever your discipline is. As a start, that would be a normally fair fit, maybe with some negotiating around the edges. But if I say to you, hey, I want 90% and you can get 10, and we don't believe that's fair, either one of us, then this isn't going to work. So it's all about fairness and generosity. I personally am a big believer that as CEO, we should be generous, not crazy, but generous. Because if we win and we're successful, and I own, instead of 50% of the company, I own 35%, it's not going to matter. I'm going to have more money than 5 lifetimes I'm going to need the money for. Your grandchildren's grandchildren's grandchildren will be fine, if that happens. It's not going to matter. But if by owning 35%, I've increased my odds of success by 5, by giving up that 15% of equity because I've been generous with my co-founders and my employees, wow, that's a deal I would take every day. So think generosity, and you both have to think the deal is fair. That's the best way to go about these things. And I will tell you, in the negotiations that I've had with my co-founders, when I was negotiating equity, it was pretty simple with my co-founding team. It was a simple maybe 1 minute conversation where it was like, I think you should get X. What do you think? And they would say yes in every single instance. That's what you want, is something that's really quick and easy. When there's a huge discussion about it and there are disagreements about it, unless you're being unrealistic and you're being stingy, there's a problem and it's not going to work. So I will leave you with that. So with that, I'm going to say thank you to everybody very much. Hopefully this was valuable for everybody. Again, if you want to become part of Zero to Pitch, pretty easy to do it. It's a free community for life, lifetime membership. All you have to do is just click the link, answer a few questions, you're in. If you want to become part of Zero to Pitch Gold, my paid community, that's pretty easy. Just click the link on the About page of Zero to Pitch. Actually, it's on every page of Zero to Pitch. And you can jump over there. Right now, it's $99 per month, but the price is going up, as I said. Great time to join. Do it now. Great community. You get access to me every day and access to a group of really motivated, really smart CEOs, and we'll help you with your pitch deck, whatever you want. We have daily office hours in there, hour every day. Got office hours in an hour. If you join today, you could participate in that literally in an hour. Anyways, hope this was valuable to everybody.